stipulated schedule, which oath he or she must take as soon as possible, and in any event, within 48 hours after the office of the President becomes vacant. Mr. Chair, Senate proposes to delete this clause and to delete the current provision of the Constitution. My view, Chair, is that I disagree with that proposal. I actually believe, Chair, that whenever there's a vacancy in the office of the President, and it doesn't matter whether the Parliament, the current provision in the CAB3 says the Parliament should then sit as an electoral college after the passing on or the removal of office from a president after in about 2 weeks. But in the meantime, a country cannot afford not to have a president. And the vice president, whom I understand from the amendments, is the last vice president that acted, should take an oath, should take an oath for that time frame, even if it means 1 week. The reasons is simple. Firstly, like I said, you cannot have a situation where that vice president, in that 2 weeks, you have the power and the functions of the executive president. So in as much as that vice president is not going to be there for a longer time, but because he or she is going to occupy the office of the president, be it 2 weeks or less, but during that course of time, he or she should actually take an oath. So the current provision as it stands in section 94.3, which I read, I think is actually correct. And in my humble view, there's no need for us to remove it. It should actually remain unless we are saying that we want someone to take over and then that person does not take an oath. Because that person should just take an oath because you are a president, albeit for a very short period of time. So to that extent, Mr. Chair, I move the amendment standing in my name that we reject the recommendation from the Senate.
Further debate.
Honorable Chair.
Order. Let me just finish this part. I put the amendment proposed by Honorable Mshoriwa.
I need to respond.
Yes.
Clarify before you do that.
I was going to say, is there any debate, then you
because
come
if you put it and it's rejected, it becomes mute. There's no need for me to respond. I need to respond so that when you put it,
I also need to debate.
Reject and.
Sorry, Honorable.
I think what is fair, is fair, Honorable Chair, is I should be able to explain the amendments.
Yes, I'm actually putting the question for debate, Honorable Leader of Government Business, so I'm not closing it off. Like I was saying, I put the amendment proposed by Honorable Mshoriwa for the deletion of clause 4. Is there any debate? I recognize
yes.
Minister.
Honorable Chair.
Order, there's
Honorable Chair, just
can you allow
you get your chance. Order, you get your chance.
There's a procedure here, man.
Order. I've recognized the Leader of Government Business. You get your chance. Order. You get your chance. So relax. Order. Honorable Leader of Government Business, please carry on.
Honorable Chair, Honorable Mshoriwa does not understand what we are doing here. This clause is no longer effective. Even if we don't remove it, it was not even effective currently. When we did amendment number 2, we removed this. We even indicated that upon a vacancy existing, the party would then choose where the president came from, the successor. So this is a cleaning up exercise. And in any event, when there is a vacancy, if the president cannot continue for whatever reason, you don't swear in somebody to act. There is a provision in the Constitution for an acting president pending the election of another president. So you don't, an acting president does not take an oath of office as if that is the actual president. So we are just doing the cleaning up of the Constitution by removing redundant clauses. In other words, what we could have opted to do is not to inform Parliament and requested the law reviser to remove it because it was dealt with. So what we are simply doing in this new clause is to make provisions that are current and consistent with what we did in CAB3, which is what I'm going to do, to read to honorable members so that they can debate from a point of knowledge. Clause 4 is a new clause, Honorable Chair, which was not contained in the bill that we passed here. It amends the section dealing with the assumption of office by the president and vice presidents following an election by repealing section 94 subsection 3 of that section. And the reason is one of good order. Section 94 provided for a vice president who became president upon a vacancy to take the oath of office, which is what we deleted in CAB2. That provision no longer applies. When Parliament passed Amendment number 2 in 2021, it removed the automatic elevation of a vice president upon a vacancy in the office of the president. This bill now provides that upon such a vacancy, Parliament elects a new president within 30 days. Within 30 days, the old subsection, therefore, has no further work to do and is accordingly removed so that the Constitution does not continue to carry a provision the law has already left behind. That's the reason. I so move that the amendment proposed by the Senate be taken into consideration, I think.
Debate.
Debate. Thank you, Honorable. Sorry, Honorable Gumbo, switch off your mic. Why? Right. Like we said, you can take a seat. Like we said in previous sittings, if you want to debate, please stand up and indicate that you want to debate without switching on your mic, and I'll definitely then give you the floor to do so, so that we don't disturb the technology that is happening here. So is there any further debate? I recognize the Honorable Morokeli.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair. I need to raise a point of concern to this August House. During the debate of the Constitutional Amendment Bill number 2, I was concerned about the decision to remove what we call Section 92 of the Constitution, which under the 2013 Constitution is known as the running mate clause. The decision to remove it was not in the best interest of this country, especially from a security point of view. And now today,
Point of order.
we
Honorable
are...
Chair. Point of
Can
order,
I-
Honorable Chair.
Order.
Point of order.
Order.
Just to
Order.
clarify so
Order.
that we can debate from a point of knowledge.
Order. 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 The honorable member has not been stopped from debating. The honorable leader of government business has just put a point of order to clarify. He will still go on and debate. Order. Yes, honorable leader of government.
Honorable Chair, CAB3 did not remove the running mate. So we cannot debate something that was removed 4 years ago, and you raise concern now. I think that is not in order. We cannot waste our time here debating things that were removed 4 or 5 years ago.
Order, Honorable Molokeli. I hope you heard that. And you
Yeah,
don't
but
know
he
what to say.
misunderstood me. I never spoke about CAB3. I spoke about CAB2.
Order. What the leader of government business is simply trying to say is that we cannot debate something that happened years ago. Right? So stick to this clause as proposed by order. Can you stick to this clause as proposed by Honorable Mshoriwa? Please go ahead and step. Molokeli, I've said continue, so don't delve into those issues.
Okay.
I've made
So,
a ruling. Continue.
what we are dealing with is a legal lacuna that was created by a short-term decision of removing Section 92 of the original 2013 Constitution under the Second Amendment Bill. What we are trying to address using an administrative process is still not going to be adequate. The reason why we had Section 92 in the original 2013 Constitution is because we knew that in case of an emergency, in case of a sudden death, in case something happens to the incumbent president, we would immediately saw in one of the vice presidents to take over the country. Even if a war started the same day, he would have immediate authority and power. The real reason why we did that is to protect the national security and integrity of this country. Under this current system, I need to educate the House. Under this current system,
Order, honorable members. Order. Let's listen to him.
Under this current system, we have a legal lacuna that could lead to a constitutional crisis, that could lead to a national political instability and insecurity. There is a difference between an acting president who is acting as an acting president because the current president is alive and well, maybe he's traveled out of the country, and an acting president who is acting in the aftermath of the original incumbent. Those positions are not the same. If the president of the country leaves today to attend a conference in Zambia, he appoints one of the two vice presidents in an acting capacity, but he remains as the de jure and de facto president of the country. So, what the Honorable Leader of Government Business is addressing is an administrative issue that has no constitutional relevance or validity whatsoever. What it means is
Honorable members, order. Honorable Mutodi, did you have a point of order?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Honorable member, the honorable member seated there, you keep on switching on your mic there. Yeah. Go ahead, Honorable
Chair. Thank you very much. I think Honorable Molekele, as a legal practitioner, knows that the clause that has been referred by Honorable Mshoriwa.
I can hardly hear you.
I'm saying, yes, Honorable Chair, let me increase my voice.
Order, honorable members, I need to hear the point of order. Please, can you keep quiet? Let's hear what Honorable Mutodi wants to say. Honorable Mutodi, go ahead.
Yes, what I'm saying, Honorable Chair, is that the proposal being made by Honorable Mshorewa is at law what we call a brutum parliament. It means that that provision is now a brutum fulmen. And on the logical part of it, Honorable Chair, giving
Order, Honorable Mutodi.
That is debating.
Order. Order. Musarambe mchikodzwana mamaki babo. Honorable Mangwana, Honorable Magumire babo. Zimai mangenyo. Musatame mchidaro ka. Aiwa. Honorable Mtodi, your point that you are bringing is a point to make in a debate. So we'll give you a chance to respond to that. You have a point.
Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Honorable Mulukele, please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chair. I wanted to make sure that it's very simple and straightforward. We need to be consistent. As I speak to you this afternoon, we have got what we call a deputy minister and a cabinet minister. As we speak this afternoon, there is not even one deputy minister who is allowed to be an acting minister under whatsoever circumstance. There is a reason, there is a logic behind that. When you are a deputy minister, you are not the substantive minister. That's why even if the substantive minister is on leave, the deputy minister cannot be the acting minister. Using the same logic, you do not expect someone who became a vice president because the president was still there to be allowed to be acting president in replacement of a substantive president. That means that they automatically have the same powers that a de facto president has. In the same way you are refusing that a deputy minister be an acting minister, you should not then allow an acting vice president to be an acting president in the same capacity as the de facto and de jure president. It means they need to be sworn into office so that if the country starts a war with Zambia tomorrow or Zambia attacks Zimbabwe, they have to make decisions just like a substantive president, just like a substantive minister. So this logic is fundamentally flawed. It also does not address an issue of concern. What if the last acting vice president decides to say that I want to be the president of this country? What will you do about it as parliament? What if he dissolves parliament? What will you do about it? You will be dissolved as parliamentarians by an acting president who has not even sworn in. This is a constitutional crisis that we are creating.
Order.
So what I'm saying,
Titi Garapas, Garapas,
Order.
Garapasi.
Titi Garapas.
Honorable members, stop playing with your microphones, please. Honorable Molokele, can you wind up now?
what I'm trying to help us to understand is that by trying to address a constitutional matter using an administrative process, we are like trying to create a constitutional crisis that will come and haunt us as a country tomorrow. That last sitting acting vice president, the vice president who was last acting as president, cannot be given the same level of power with an acting president who is replacing an incumbent president. So that is the legal misfortune or legal mischief that we are trying to create. And I'm urging the Honorable Leader of Government Business to sit down and thoroughly understand the implications. Because if I'm the last acting president,